Sri Lankan authorities say a burnt-out cargo ship carrying tons of chemicals just off of the port of Colombo has partly sunk. The MV Express Pearl had been on fire for nearly 2 weeks, with much of the dangerous cargo tumbling overboard. Workers extinguished the flames, but as the ship was being pulled out to sea, things went from bad to worse for what is now being labeled Sri Lanka's worst marine disaster.
Carrying tons of chemicals and plastics, the MV Express Pearl is sinking into the sea. The Singapore-registered cargo ship was anchored off Sri Lanka's west coast when it caught fire on May 20. Now, with the blaze finally under control, salvage crews try to tow the ship into deeper water, away from precious fishing grounds. But the burnt-out vessel is already sinking.
I mean, this is a big problem for all the fishermen. I mean, these days, of course, they can't go to the sea and they can't do their works because of this tragic situation.
The government has banned fishing along an 80-kilometre stretch of coast. Over 5,000 fishing boats have been affected. The ship has dealt the death blow to our lives. We can't go to sea, which means we can't make a living. Tons of plastic pellets have coated nearby beaches. The Navy says it is also preparing for an oil spill. With the toxic cargo still on board, the sinking ship has already caused one of the country's worst environmental disasters.
Let's get the latest on the story now. We can speak to Jamila Hussain. She's the deputy editor of the Daily Mirror in Colombo. Jamila, thank you for joining us. We mentioned that the Navy, the Coast Guard have frantically been trying to stop this ship from sinking. Bring us up to date on the latest.
Well, hi. The latest what we have from Colombo is that the towing operations have come to a standstill because the rear end of the vessel has hit the seabed. And while the ship is now half sunk, the salvage company is trying its best to prevent it from sinking any further. What the operations which started in the morning to tow the vessel 50 nautical miles into deep seas has come to a complete standstill, raising fears that the ship can sink even overnight. So right now, discussions are going on between the government authorities and the salvage company to see how they can prevent a major catastrophe from happening, because there are fears that if the ship sinks, there can be a massive oil leak.
Right.
I was just, in fact, speaking to the Navy a little while ago, and what they were saying is that they are, in fact, prepared for a possible oil leak. And if this happens, they're going to try to contain it within a limited space, because they do have the facilities. So where the towing operations are concerned, that is what we have the latest, that it's half sunk and operations have come to a standstill.
But Jamila, how was this ship allowed to burn just off the coast for so long?
So basically, the ship entered Sri Lankan waters on May 19th, in fact, and May 20th it caught fire. The ship had come from the UAE, where when our authorities had contacted the Dubai authorities, they said that the ship was cleared and it was safe. But at that time, it could not go into the Indian port, which is why Sri Lankan authorities had given it permission to enter the Colombo seas. Still, an investigation is going on as to how the fire actually started. I mean, there are teams on board because the fire was actually doused only late last night, which is why there are teams on board at the moment. So that investigation is still ongoing as to what actually sparked it and how it caught fire.
From an environmental point of view, what is the bigger danger right now? Is it the ship's cargo, so the plastics, the plastic waste, the chemicals, or is the potential of an oil spill?
Well, both are seen as a imminent threat. Where the earlier one is concerned, the oil leak, well, we are not seeing any oil spill as yet. But like I told you before, there is a threat that it might happen within minutes or even hours. So that is being closely monitored by the authorities, and hopefully that should be contained within a limited area within the closer to the ship. And where the marine environment is concerned, well, actually that disaster has already happened because as of now, as I speak to you right now, there is a fishing ban in place all the way from Panadura, which is the southern coast, all the way up to Negombo, which is the western coast. And you know, Sri Lanka being an island country, the fisheries sector brings in a lot of foreign exchange and also a lot of cash. And now this has come to a standstill. Also, the beaches along the southern coast up to the western coast has been completely damaged and completely destroyed because, as you know, this was carrying chemicals and this was also carrying plastic pebbles, which has now washed ashore. And what authorities now fear is that these plastic pebbles might break into smaller pebbles in the coming days.
Right.
And this is going to be a huge disaster on the marine life. Already we have seen the disaster happening because a lot of marine life has died and is being washed ashore.
We'll have to leave it there. Jamila Hussain, Deputy Editor of the Daily Mirror in Colombo. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.